All right. Everybody's coming in, getting processed, tagged, cataloged. Nope, that's the wrong department. Sorry. Um, so, all right. I think we're pretty much good to go here. Welcome, everyone. Say thank you. I want to say thank you not only to you guys, but also to our sponsor, and that's Home Depot and Home Depot Pro. We appreciate the discounts. If you are not signed up, please make sure you reach out to um, your chapter leaders, your associate leaders. Make sure you're staying in touch. Those are great benefits, and I'm sure you've heard me say this in the past, but one of the great benefits as well is, when you're signed up and you have your credit cards with Home Depot, if somebody has one of your cards out there and they go run some bill at 8 o'clock on a Friday night, you still get a email of that. And you can go, well, that's an odd thing to come across this time of night. I didn't know there's any issues with it. So not only do you get the discounts and stuff, you also get the notifications on it. It can be very helpful. So with that, we want to say thank you to Home Depot. Next, I do want to touch on this. So we are here to promote, protect, educate, and really appreciate the opportunity to really provide information to our chapters, to our members. I talk about this in terms of, 40,000 entrepreneur businesses across the country, and we're here to really help you. And if you are new to us, let me just encourage you to go ahead and look at our website. Go to the next slide there. One of the things with our page is we have the Find a Local REIA where you can get plugged in, and this will take you to your own little part of the U.S., wherever you're at, and you can find a REIA there and get plugged in. And this is one of the benefits is building a team. We want, as a successful entrepreneur, to build your team. And even if you're going to be moving to an area, you're buying a property in another area, you can find out if there's a REIA in that area affiliated with us, using the benefits and all the resources available. So great opportunity. I encourage you to do it. Having said that, I do want to touch on this. Today, we are not giving legal advice and we are not giving financial advice. We're going to talk about some financial issues. We're going to talk about some legal issues, but make sure that if you're looking for your own personal situation, that you do touch base with your own attorneys, your own CPA, and make sure you get the legal advice. And hopefully you're going to take notes today to get good information and go ask some good solid questions and really save yourself some money, time, and effort. So with that, I'll just welcome everybody here. My name is Charles Tassell. I'm the Chief Operating Officer and been happy to participate and be able to serve National REIA members for many years now, and look forward to a discussion we're going to have with Michael Smith here on taxes. And we appreciate him coming from the IRS. Please stay on. You're okay. It's okay. He's coming here. I know that there's a lot of always concern when we say IRS, so I want to just assure you it's okay. We're going to come back to Michael in just a second. I do want to touch on one thing legislatively, so we'll kick over to this. One of the things, people are familiar with lead and lead paint. There's a new initiative now coming out from the administration, and many of you might remember Flint, Michigan, and the issues that came up there with high levels of lead paint in the water, high levels of lead particles in the water. And it's not good to have that. There is an issue with lead. When the human body is less than 6 years of age, it does not do very well at differentiating between iron and lead. Somewhere around 6 years of age, the body's able to do that. And what happens is children who are around lead, if they get the dust, a lot of times you'll see a little kid walk over, they drop their pacifier into a window trough, look out the window, pick up their passy and put it back in their mouth, and off they go. Well, they may have just taken in enough lead dust there to poison themselves. There's kind of myths out there that kids are always chewing on, lead paint chips or something. If there are certain types of paint, maybe that might have been kind of sweet, but typically it really is as simple as the passy drops in, comes back up, and they poison themselves. Especially this is the case if the child does not have good nutritional intake in the first place. So that's one of the things we just, be careful of. But with that in the background, how often do we look at our water supply? And a lot of water pipes And again, we can think back to the ancient Romans on this, or the aqueducts lined with lead. Our water pipes are similarly situated. We have a lot of old water pipes, and the administration is looking at putting $15 billion aside for water pipes and water pipe replacement and to assist in that. So there's going to be a process rolling out on that. As we get more information on that, we'll be reaching out to you. Again, a good thing that if you're going to be renovating a property, you're going to want to know about this, and whatever the local program is, accessing that and go from there. So as we get more info on that, we will be sharing that out. I want to give you a heads up that that is coming right now. So with that, with the fun aspect of lead out of the way, I'm going to reach over and kind of turn this over to Michael. As I said, he is with the IRS. We'll have some questions for him. Again, I would ask that you don't share personal information when we come to questions. If you do have questions as he's going through his presentation, please go ahead and put them in the chat, and we'll try to address them at the end. Again, not a personal side. Now, Michael has been door to door before. That is not what he's here for. He is the outreach. He is the happy side. And I know I hear it in my own head, folks. What is it? The most fearful words from in the English language, as Ronald Reagan said, is I'm here from the government and I'm here to help. Well, in this case, this gentleman is here to help us and kind of point us in the right direction. So with that level of fear being mitigated somewhat, Michael, thank you for coming here today. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you very much, Charles. It's great to be here. It's a pleasure, really. So as Charles said, I'm with IRS, but I'm with a group called the Tax Outreach Partnership and Education Group. So what we do is we reach out to not the tax professionals. We have another group that does that reaches out to CPAs and those people and tax preparers. What we do is we reach out to people who would not normally have any contact from IRS, unless it was something like, like you said, like an audit or something unpleasant. So we reach out to anybody else basically that's that would not normally have a contact from IRS. So we just, we try to just get information out there, good information to help people any way we can.
Well, we appreciate that. And we appreciate you coming here today. Michael has a little presentation, he's got a slideshow he's going to present us with and kind of walk through how we can find more information and better information. So Michael, we appreciate you being here and look forward to this.
Okay. Thank you very much. And so everything looks good here. Can you see?
It does.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, today's presentation is just wanted to come and just, these PowerPoints can get a little dry. So I want to be a little bit more, just more loose with it. Just it's, they can be kind of, and it's tax stuff too. So it gets a little dry sometimes, but we just want to give you some resources and guidance for the upcoming tax filing season to help you, help your business and individually to help, file your taxes, to help plan for next year's taxes, just to make everything operate more smoothly. Today I'm going to go through several things. First, I'm going to start with the Small Business and Self-Employed Tax Center, which is online. Next, business tax credits and expenses, good record keeping and the importance of good record keeping, security awareness and ID theft, which is, of course, you all see that it gets worse every day. So ways to protect yourself and your business from ID theft, options for filing and paying your taxes, how to navigate the IRS in general, the IRS webpage, because there really is a ton of good information on the IRS webpage. And then also some recent online tools and tools that we've had in existence for quite a while that are very helpful. So as I said, we'll start with the Small Business and Self-Employed Tax Center. So this is a screenshot of the actual page. You can probably see it. I'm having trouble seeing it, but you can see the web address there at the top. But if not, you can go to irs.gov and put in small business, self-employed, and that'll come up. So this is the Small Business Self-Employed Tax Center. The two arrows are pointing to a couple of things we're going to discuss today, which is one, preparing your taxes, and then also filing and paying your taxes. So the website is also a good place if you're starting a business. There's great information on how to start a business, how to set up a business tax account, employer IDs, and there's also forms and publications. And as you can see at the top there, it's now a lot of stuff is now in other languages, to help people. If English is not their first language, then it's very helpful for them to have these forms in their own language. So those are some of the things you can find just on the opening page there. So we'll go to first business credits. Sorry about that. So business tax credits. So listed here might be a little hard to see, but all these credits are generally under the general business credit. So you'll have to file your Form 3800 first, and then in the Form 3800, you'll have to file additional forms to claim the credits. So your general business credit, what that consists of is your carry forward of any business credits from prior years, plus the total of your current year business credits. So that's your general business credit for the year. And how to claim the credit, you'll have to first get the right forms. This lists all the forms that you would need for all those different credits. It's also on the Form 3800. So in most cases, you'll have to file the individual form for the particular credit you're trying to claim. And then you'll also have to file the Form 3800 along with that, along with your tax return. So deducting business expenses, this publication that is shown here discusses common business expenses and explains what is and what is not tax deductible. And the chapters cover general rules for deducting your business expenses and also for specific expenses. And this slide shows the 2022 version. It's publication 535. As of today, they have not put out one for 2023. But if more information is available, if you go to irs.gov and you go to putting guide to business expense resources, there's a lot of information there also on business expenses and how to deduct those. So to be deductible, basically a business expense must be both ordinary and necessary. So an ordinary expense is one that is common and accepted in your particular industry. And then a necessary expense is one that is helpful and appropriate for your trade or business. So many of you are probably already familiar with that. So record keeping, why is good record keeping important? Again, I'm sure you all know how good record keeping can make your life much easier, right? I mean, in any kind of record keeping, but especially when it comes to taxes in your business. So, and I had this question a lot in collection, like, why do I have to worry? I'm busy running my business, right? Like, why do I have to keep good records? I keep pretty good records is what I would hear a lot, and then we would, of course, have to delve into it further, and the records were very sparse, and that would cause, it's just more headaches, really. Not necessarily that there was anything wrong there, but just because the records were so hard to go through and they weren't organized, that you'd find, yourself, a lot of inconsistencies, and so you'd have to go through, and it just takes a lot more time and can create a lot more headaches. So that's one reason why you should keep good records. So it'll help you monitor the progress of your business, help you prepare your financial statements, and it'll help you identify sources of income, help you keep track of deductible expenses, keep track of your basis in property, which is, of course, very important. Prepare your tax returns every year, and then it'll help you, after tax filing is done, if you need to, it'll help you support the items that you reported on your tax returns. So all good reasons to keep good records. What kind of records should I keep? It's a common question you hear a lot. So you can choose any record keeping system that works for you, that works for your business, so long as it clearly shows your income and expenses. So except in a few cases, the law really doesn't require any special kind of records. However, the business you're in will affect the type of records that you need to keep for federal tax purposes. So how long should I keep records? The length of time depends really. The length of time you should keep a particular document depends on, what that, on the action or expense or event that the document records. So really you kind of keep your records as long as needed to prove the income or deductions on a tax return, basically. So how should I record my business transactions? So purchases, sales, payroll, and other transactions that you have in your business will generate supporting documents. So those documents will contain information that you need to record in your books for your business transactions. What is the burden of proof? The burden of proof is your responsibility to substantiate entries, deductions, and statements that are made on your tax returns. And that's known as the burden of proof. So you have to be able to prove certain elements of expenses in order to deduct them and keep records of that. How about, and as far as employment records, I used to hear a lot in collection, how long do I need to keep these? I already have so much paperwork. Good rule of thumb is to keep all records of employment taxes for at least 4 years. So the next slide, filing and paying your business taxes. So these are also found on the Small Business and Self-Employed Tax Center on the IRS website. So these are some of the options you can find for filing and paying your taxes. So there are electronic payment options now. There's electronic filing options for business and for self-employed people. You can go on there to address EIN number issues, business taxes, estimated taxes, employment taxes for small businesses, self-employment taxes. You can find reporting information returns, e-file forms like 940, 941 for small businesses, filing of past due tax returns, and reporting payments to independent contractors, and also issues on deceased taxpayers, probate, filing estate and individual returns, and paying taxes due. So more and more, like everything at IRS, more and more is being, put online for people to kind of find themselves, self-service, I guess you call it. Because oftentimes that is the easier route. I find myself doing it myself, instead of picking up the phone, which, has been in the past few years almost impossible. It's gotten a lot better now. And trying to reach someone, you can find more quickly, just go online, type in your keywords and find it yourself. So more and more is being put online, which is useful, actually. So there's also a Small Business Tax Center. You can find an online tax calendar. I don't know if anybody uses that, but with an online tax calendar, you can view due dates and actions for each month that are due. You can see all events or filter them out by monthly depositor, semi-weekly depositor. So these are a lot of tools that are available for people who have employees. Very helpful for them. You can also put reminders in there, and you can import it into your own Outlook from the online tax calendar. So that is another useful tool. Those are some of the things that can be found at the Small Business Self-Employed Tax Center. And I just wanted to touch on what can be found if you go directly to irs.gov. So again, a lot of information there, a lot of good information can be found there. To go to irs.gov, and millions of taxpayers take advantage of this every year, especially at filing season. There's lots of easy to use tools that are available 24 hours a day which is very handy when you're, especially when you're running your own business. You don't have to, you can go on there anytime on the weekend, anytime, find answers that you need. So you can access it on your home computer, mobile devices now. And the number of visits to irs.gov continues to grow year after year. And really nearly every tax issue can be resolved online. And we're, more and more trying to get more and more ways to resolve your issues online. And we'll see more about that in a little while. But I've highlighted Free File and Where's My Refund. Those are two very useful tools that are found through irs.gov at filing season. And so basically you can go and just type in your keyword. It's just the best way that I've found to find anything there. And of course there's all different categories, but I usually type in the keyword, and then I can usually find an answer pretty quickly within a couple minutes for most questions. So as I mentioned in the beginning, we offer more and more in different languages because it's difficult to navigate the tax system in filing season anyway, but it's even harder when it's not in your first language. So it's even harder to understand the forms and the instructions. So many pages on IRS are now available in 6 other languages, which include Spanish, Vietnamese, Russian, Korean, Haitian Creole, and Chinese, because those are the most prevalent languages, I guess you'd say, now, or those 6 languages that are spoken in the U.S. So those 6 are available. There's quite a bit of information. So there's 6 pages that are available in those languages, but then there's also basic tax information available in 21 languages on irs.gov. So the other 21, I mean, it's not going to be real detailed, but there are basic tax information, basic tax things you can find online in 21 other languages. So we also offer a new service where taxpayers can go in when they file their 1040 and they file Form 1040 Schedule LEP. And so what that does is it tells AIRS that if they need to communicate with you, that you would prefer to be communicated in your particular language. So let's say you have a balance due and they're going to send out a notice or anything like that. That will then be generated in your particular language. So that's a great tool. It just helps people understand the system better, understand their tax obligation, and keeps them, from getting any, they may get a notice, it's not in their language, they can't even read it, or it doesn't make sense. And so maybe they discard it, which I used to see that a lot. People would discard the notice. They really didn't understand it. And that really is the worst thing you can do, is just throw it in the garbage, because the notices will keep coming. And whether you discard it or not, then all of a sudden someone shows up at your door, and not to scare anybody, but it just has a process, right? And so if they can understand that first notice in their own language, then that's great. Then they can just take care of the problem right there. So
Michael, let me ask you something there.
Sure.
Notices will come to the door. Notices will come in the mail.
Yeah.
Somebody will show up at the door potentially if it's that far down the road.
Way down.
But does the IRS call, or does the IRS ask you to call them?
Generally now, they've made a change, and the revenue officers, who are the people who are the collection people that go out in the field, no longer go out to the door first. So now, from what I know, is that a notice will go out first, asking you to call and set up an appointment to come in and visit with the revenue officer. So not to say that there couldn't be a phone call potentially, because as far as I know, you could still possibly get a phone call from IRS, but
even if you got a phone call, it wouldn't be a phone call saying, Michael, you need to pay X amount of dollars right now over the phone.
No, definitely not. And I'll touch upon that a little bit later, but no, definitely there will not be a phone call saying, you know, you need to, and I've had those phone calls myself. We all have in our group at IRS, and they'll call and say, you know, we need this payment now, or we're going to come arrest you, basically, you know, which is, that will never happen. That just, those calls just hang up immediately. Those are fraudulent calls. And any other, well, I'll touch upon the other demands that they can make, but no, we will never, that'll never happen. No. So yeah, all the other languages that we offer is just helps people. If there is an issue, it just helps them take care of the issue up front and not have to wait later down the line, you know, when it gets worse. So it's very helpful. I've had a lot of good feedback about the other languages and the forms as well. I mean, it's the tax stuff can be a little difficult to read even in English, but if it's in your own language, it's definitely easier to understand. So that's a great tool we offer. So now we also encourage people, all individual taxpayers can now do this when possible, to enroll for an IRS online account. And this is what I was kind of talking about briefly in the beginning. This is one of the new things we're pushing out, to sign up for an online account, because you can do a lot of things through that account, and you can check the status of where you're at, you know, if you have an issue or whatever the case may be, if they're requesting information. So once you sign up your account, you can view balance, tax records, notices. So let's say the notice got lost or came in the mail and you didn't get it. You can go online and say, oh, here's what they sent me. This is what they're asking me for. You can make payments. So if you need to set up a payment plan, you can view the payment plan details. You can make same-day payments. And as I said, you can set up a payment plan if you're eligible to do that. You can get transcripts online, especially for filing season. You may need a transcript from a prior year. You can view your account notifications. You can change your profile, you know, in case you move, anything like that. You can quickly change your address, your email. So a lot of good things you can do. And we encourage people to set up an online account, and anyone can do that now. So it's part of our, you know, part of all the modernizing the IRS that we're trying to promote. So yeah, definitely set up an online account. As I said, you can get a transcript online. That's the fastest way to get it. But we offer 3 different options if you need a transcript during filing season, a past year transcript. You can go online and get it. That's the quickest way. You can also request by mail, or you can go online. There's an 800 number and follow the voice prompts. You can request a transcript that way. So there's the transcripts that we offer are, there's a tax return transcript, which shows most of the line items from your original 1040 tax return, along with any forms or schedules that you filed. We also offer a tax account transcript, and that will show basic data such as your filing status, taxable income, and payment types made. And then we also offer a wage and income transcript, which shows data from information returns that we have already received, such as your W-2, excuse me, your 1098, your 1099. So any forms that have already been filed, you can request a transcript for those. As I said, the quickest way is online. You can often get that instantly. And then you can also request by mail or call. And I believe if you call, they'll mail it out free of charge. Yeah, it says right there. Yeah. So if you ask to be mailed, it's free of charge to the address on file. And that's pretty quick too. But if you need it right away, you can go online, you know, with the online account and get it 24 hours a day. So security and awareness and ID theft, which is, you know, gets a bigger problem every year. As I was saying to Charles before we started, it's just gets the fraudsters get more sophisticated every year. They get more access to personal information. They're constantly breaching different organizations' databases. I think I just saw one this morning. Another healthcare organization was breached. So it's probably scary. I wouldn't even want to know how much of my personal information is out there. But it's the world we live in, right? I guess that's the trade-off for the technology, but we got to do everything we can to protect ourselves and our business. And so there's several steps you can take as far as IRS goes to protect yourself. Filing season is one of the worst times of year, and it's the most active time of year for tax scammers. So identity thieves will do pretty much anything to get your personal identification so they can file a fraudulent return, oftentimes before you file your own return, to try to get your credit. There's a lot of different ways they're trying to. Usually they'll try to get a credit, file a return before you do. That's one way, but there's several other ways. So we just want people to be aware that criminals are continuing to make aggressive calls, also posing as IRS agents in hopes of stealing your money and your personal information. Here's some signs, like Charles was talking about. Here's some things that we will never do, and the IRS will never. We will never call to demand an immediate payment using a specific payment method, such as a prepaid debit card, a gift card, wire transfer. We're never going to ask you to transfer funds through a wire transfer. So generally, IRS is going to mail you a bill to any taxpayer who owes taxes. So you generally would get something in the mail first. They'll never threaten to immediately bring in the police or other law enforcement to have the taxpayer arrested for not paying. And that's one you hear quite a bit. And you can imagine, if you're an elderly person or any other person, and someone calls and threatens that, you're so taken aback that you could think, well, this is probably real. He sounds legitimate, So, I mean, these guys are pretty sophisticated. So that happens a lot. It's crazy, but it does. So we'll never do that. We're never going to call and threaten people to be arrested, anything like that. So we're also never going to demand that taxes be paid without giving the taxpayer the opportunity to question or appeal the amount owed. So even if they get a demand and it's a letter that's not a legitimate letter, it's saying you need to pay right now, call this number. You always have the opportunity to question or appeal the amount that you owe and ask questions about it. So those are some of the things that IRS will not do. So just things to look out for. So another way to protect yourself is to get what's called an IP PIN. So I don't know if anybody's ever heard of that, but it's an IP PIN is an identity protection personal identification number. And I believe everyone is eligible now for an IP PIN. And you can find that more information through the publication listed there, 5477, or going to irs.gov/IP PIN. So if you set up an online account, we encourage you to also at the same time sign up and get an IP PIN. Especially now, we're just starting for tax filing season. So, and this is one of the best ways, best things you can do to protect yourself from tax-related ID theft. So an IP PIN is a 6-digit number that prevents somebody else from filing a tax return using your social security number or your individual tax ID number. So the IP PIN is only known to you and the IRS, and it helps IRS to verify your identity when you file your electronic or your paper return. And as I said, so for more information on the IP PIN, if you want to sign up for that, please go to publication 5367 or irs.gov and you can put in IP PIN. But that really is one of the best ways to keep someone from trying to file a return, say, ahead of you to try to claim your credit or whatever it may be, or refund. That will prevent them from doing that. And that's really, we've seen so much of that's been a huge problem where people are trying to file quickly before you even have a chance to file and claim a credit you might be entitled to, something like that. And then by the time you find out about it, the credit's already been issued and it's a big mess, right? So this is the best way to help prevent that, because they won't be able to file the return without that PIN number. So some other tools that we offer and will help make tax filing easier. We offer free tax prep for qualifying taxpayers, and that's through the VITA program. That's been around for 50 years. And VITA sites is where you'll go in and someone will actually help you prepare your return. This is generally for people who make a less, 60,000 or less. So, but it is available. I mean, you can share that with people that you know, that could be a helpful tool for them. And also it's for people who make 60,000 or less, people with disabilities, and people who have limited English speaking. It's available to all those people, and it's a great program. They also offer, VITA also offers tax counseling for the elderly program. So that offers free tax help, particularly for people who are age 60 or older. And it kind of specializes in questions about pensions, retirement related issues that are unique to seniors. So it's a great program. It's helped a lot of people, and I would recommend that, and just share that information with anybody you know that could benefit from that. We also offer Free File, which is the online free filing program. So what that is IRS Free File is a program. It's a public-private partnership between IRS and many tax prep and filing software industry companies, and they provide their online tax prep and filing for free. In order to qualify for that, your AGI has to be 73,000 or less per year, and that will allow you to prepare your taxes and file online for free. So Free File is great, but if you don't meet the AGI requirement, there are still through Free File, there's still free fillable forms. So those are electronic federal tax forms that would be like equivalent to a 1040, a paper 1040. So in that case, you have to know how to prepare your own return. However, it provides a free option for taxpayers to file and use those fillable forms if their AGI is above 73,000. So Free File is another great tool. Some things, if you're not eligible, or if you're not going to use one of the Free File options, if you're going to get a CPA or a tax preparer, again, that's an area that we want to warn people, not warn, but just make them aware that things to look out for a reputable tax preparer. So if you don't qualify, or you're not going to use, or if you're going to use a paid preparer, just exercise caution when choosing one. Most tax preparers out there provide outstanding and professional service. However, each year, some taxpayers are hurt financially because they choose the wrong tax preparer. So be sure to check our tips for choosing a tax preparer. Some points just to remember. Always be wary of a preparer that says they can obtain you a larger refund than others can. That's always a red flag. I'll get you double, then I can get you way more of a refund than this. Avoid any tax preparer that's going to base their fee like on a percentage of your refund, or somebody who offers to deposit all of your refund or part of your refund into their financial account. Of course, that's a big red flag. Use a preparer, if possible, that with a PTIN. So that's your paid tax preparer number that they have to have. And paid tax return preparers have to have a P10, which is issued by the IRS, to prepare all or substantially all of the tax return. So use a reputable tax professional who will put their P10 on the tax return and also signs the tax return and provides you a copy of it. So then you'll know he's solid pretty much. You can check out publication 4717, which is help your tax preparer get your tax return right, because at the end of the day, it's still your tax return. So you got to play an active role in it, and sit down with your preparer and, make sure everything's accurate that they're putting on that return. So that's a good publication, 4717, to help your tax preparer get your tax return prepared right. Excuse me. And also publication 5610, which is find out how to report us if you do suspect a fraudulent preparer, how to report suspected abuse of tax promotions or a fraudulent preparer. So these are all available through irs.gov just by putting in the publication number. You can find more information on that. So after you're done preparing your return, it's a good time. We offer another good tool, which is the paycheck checkup tool. That's where you can go in and let's say you're done with your return. You may have a balance due. You may have a refund coming. And that may indicate that you might want to adjust your federal tax withholding for the next year. You may want less of a refund. You might want more of a refund, excuse me. So this is the perfect time to do that. And you can do that by using the paycheck checkup tool, withholding estimator, I should say. But it's basically a paycheck checkup. So they call it that for people who regularly receive a paycheck, but you're just checking your withholding to make sure it's good and you're not going to either owe anything, or you can make your refund bigger or smaller. So that's a great tool. So you can protect against having too little tax withheld and facing an unexpected tax bill at the end of the year or a penalty, and you can adjust your tax withheld. So other times when you want to use a withholding estimator and do a paycheck checkup is if you had a major life change, you get a new job, for instance, you have a big change in your income. You'd want to go in there and check it to make sure you're having enough withheld. If you get married, you have a child, or you adopt a child, you make a home purchase, any of those big life events, you want to go in and check your withholding to make sure you're not going to owe a big chunk at the end of the year. So some other tools that we offer now, we offer another way to get information on certain topics without searching on irs.gov or calling the IRS. We have IRS chatbots. You can find more information on that on publication 5658. So you can put information in the chatbot, try to find an answer that way. We also offer the chatbot in other languages, I believe now. So that's handy as well. We also have voice bots where you can go in, and I haven't used that tool yet, but same thing. You put in your question and it'll come back with the best answer it can find for you. So that's another great tool that we offer. For business owners, we have a bunch of good videos online through irsvideos.gov/business to help business owners. It has a wealth of information about filing and paying taxes, including a video on how to use the withholding estimator that I mentioned. So that's a good thing to check out. We also have irs.gov/ITA, which is interactive tax assistant. So you can get answers to your tax questions. Questions specific to your individual circumstances. So based on your input, it can determine if you have to file a tax return, your filing status, if you can claim a dependent, if you're eligible to claim the child tax credit. So a lot of good information there based on your specific tax situation. Any information that you do put into that tool is anonymous. And after you're done using the tool, it's only used to answer your question while you're using the tool. So it will never be shared, of course, or stored in any other way. So once you leave the tool, it's discarded. So any personal information you put in there is discarded. So you can feel good about that. You don't have to worry about putting personal information in there. We also offer the taxpayer assistance centers, and those are open year round. And these are by appointment only, but this is a walk-in office to provide services shown on the slide here. So, excuse me, tax law questions, account adjustments, questions about payments or payment agreements, tax forms. So you do need an appointment to go in here. As I said, a lot of this is available through if you had an online account, if you want something and answer more quickly, but some people don't. They want to go in, they want to talk to somebody. So the taxpayer assistance centers are available. You just need to make an appointment. And during filing season, they often offer special Saturday hours so people can get in there across the country each month, and usually February, March, and April and May to offer in-person help. So those are great too if you want to go in and talk to somebody. Also, this is a great publication 5136A. I know I'm throwing a lot of publication numbers and stuff out there, but it's all available through irs.gov, and this guide in particular will give you a lot of those web addresses to go to find different information. So there's one for general tax law information, shows you where to go, what pubs are going to be useful for that, preparing a federal tax return, what to do if I can't pay now, if I have a balance due after filing, shows you where to go for that. A lot of good information there just in one spot on that publication. So publication 5136A is the IRS services guide from irs.gov. Also, we offer a lot of more and more social media. I don't know if anybody has signed up for the social media, but I push out myself a lot of news releases, drop-in articles, social media to Brad and Lori, and that I send them whatever I think is good for members, for you guys, and they look at it and say, yeah, this is useful, this is not, or and that'll often be just a infographic, on the Facebook or Twitter or X or whatever they call it now, and then the thread, and then it'll be it's now in different languages as well. So those are useful sometimes, just gives you a heads up if there's a tax scam that's prevalent or whatever the case may be. It just kind of gives you a quick heads up to watch out for this, where to go for this, just a quick infographic. So those are offered more and more in other languages as well. And so, as I said, for more information about anything, head to irs.gov, and then the small business self-employed website for the small business owners and self-employed. That's a great place to go, but I really would encourage the online account as well, just so if you want access to your information quickly, especially during filing season, or if you need more information, it's a great place to go. So these are some of the tools we offer. We offer more and more every day, and it can be a lot. But really the best starting point, I would say, is the websites. Of course, the SBSE, the small business self-employed website is the first and best starting point. And then just the general irs.gov website, and just type in your keyword. And then if you can't find it there, there are other options. You can, the chatbot, or if you still can't get a result, there's the walk-in centers to make an appointment there. So those are just some of what we offer. pretty much covers it up to today. I think as far as the chatbot and everything, that's our latest technology. But there's going to be more to come. And the online accounts, those are great. You can find out just a ton of information there about your particular situation and what's going on with that. So I'm going to stop there, and I hope that's been useful to everyone and give you some starting points.
That's a lot of good information, Michael. I have to come back to say, I think one of the most important things you said was when it comes to the IRS, pubs are one of the best sources of support.
They are. Yeah. The pubs have a ton of information. And I know, like I said,
I think we're talking about different pubs, though.
Yeah. Oh.
So there might be a little different kind of support, but absolutely.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I appreciate that.
I gotcha.
Now, Robert had mentioned that the pins are very helpful. And to your point, if you want to avoid some of the fraud issues, getting set up with that pin is, and it's an IP pin, I get it, but getting set up with that pin is very important to do that early and get it set up. The fraud issue you touched on that, if the IRS reaches out to you, they're typically going to be trying to schedule a time with you. They're going to be sending mail to you, and there might be a location to go sit down and talk with them. There's never a you have to pay right now kind of thing. And right. We reinforce that, especially with seniors or somebody who's a little more isolated.
Definitely. Yeah. Especially people who, yeah. I've heard a couple of the calls and the way that they pitch it, just so to speak, it sounds very legitimate, and it can be very confusing.
Okay. So let me ask you a question.
Sure.
I'm going to start off with the worst case scenario of a past due. Somebody's past due. They're sitting here sweating it, thinking, I'm getting letters. I might have dodged a phone call or two. What's the best way to handle that? What, do you go and throw yourself on the mercy of the court? How do you do it? What's the best way to get things right?
And well, if you get a notice in the mail, you'll always have a contact person or a number on the notice. So you just want to, as soon as possible after receiving the notice, reach out to that person or call that number and just let them know that you want to get it resolved, and you did receive the notice, and they will, either the notice will tell you specifically what they need, but there'll always be a point of contact on the notice. So either a person or a number. So the best thing to do is contact that number or person as soon as possible, and just tell them you're trying to get it resolved, and ask them any questions you have. Maybe it's the wrong person. It could be. They could be sending the notice to the wrong person. You get it in your mail. You think it might be for you or someone in your household. That could be possible. So that would be my recommendation, is just reach out as soon as possible and just, let them know that you got it and you're on top of it. You just want to get it resolved.
So another type of question we had was when it comes to the burden of proof. And I know sometimes that we get receipts, and especially some of these receipts are, that little quick print off, and they fade. And you go back to your little shoebox where all your files are at, and you pull it out, and it's like you're looking at a stack of papers that are all blank or so faded that you just can't make them out. What are some recommendations on how to deal with that?
That's a good one. Yeah, I know what you mean. Like the paper is just faded because of what it's printed on, or it just gets old. That one's a tough one. I mean, if you can't go back to the actual, like if you made a purchase,
back to the statement more than.
Yeah, I would say you got to have to try to backtrack, and I can get a better answer for you on this from someone in an exam. But try to backtrack on your. If you paid with credit card, of course, try to backtrack on there where they'll have a record of it somewhere, to get some sort of record from either the credit card company or even the individual seller. Perhaps you might be able to get a record from them. But yeah, that's a good question. There might be a better way, and I can try to find out a better answer for that. And so when you try to recreate or provide proof, yeah, that can be an issue.
Okay. So I'm going to touch on a couple of questions here.
Sure.
So, and there's one that says, any information on the BOI report required by individuals with an LLC. I do not know what a BOI report is. So if you do, otherwise we'll ask for clarification.
I do not. I don't know if I have an answer on that one, but I saw that question. Yeah. So
right.
if you could, what is a BOI? If whoever asked the question, could you let me know what that is?
And then the one thing, and while that's being looked up, let me mention this real quick. And I was picking on Michael a little bit before we started about the 87,000 IRS agents and such. And we talked about the fact that some of that is replacing retiring IRS agents. There is some purpose in setting up some new processing, and there are some new investigators. I don't know if you want to touch on that. It's a little bit different angle than what we were talking today, but if you want to touch on that a little more.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot of information on. I do know they're doing a lot of hiring, of course, of new, for instance, appeals officers, that kind of thing, to help taxpayers. Yeah, there was a lot in the news about agents, and people were concerned about, what kind of agents, what they were going to be doing. And no, as far as I know, they're hiring more in all areas, pretty much. They really started with the customer service hiring there, because that was the biggest complaint, is that people couldn't even get through to anybody to talk to somebody. So they're trying to take care of their problem. They couldn't get through. So what are they going to do? I mean, they're trying to do their best and they can't get through. So that was the first, was the the customer service, being able to contact someone. So I just, in general, I know they're hiring across the agency. But as far as specifics, I don't have a lot of specifics on, how many or what areas have more than others. So,
okay. So the BOI is the beneficial ownership information.
Sorry. That's for an LLC. That's
correct. Yep.
Yeah. I'd have to get an answer on that. And the question was, why do you have to file that?
Well, FinCEN, the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, talks about that that facet of it. So we deal a lot with the fraud side of things and having to deal with fraudsters. So that area and making sure we've got things detailed clearly is always important for our folks.
No, but I'll certainly, if you can, any of the questions that I cannot answer, and believe me, there's a lot. It gets, I'm not in an exam. And then you got bigger questions. There's just so many questions, but anything I can't answer, if you can please forward to me, and I will try to get an answer from people for that question. For example, yeah, I'll try to get an answer on that.
And then I'll mention that the Corporate Transparency Act, we did have a speak on that at our last session, and so that's out there. That's recorded already, and there will be more information coming on that, because that's also in process as the rules and regulations are coming out on that. So there'll be more information on that. Let's see. I think we got questions at this point.
There'll be more to come, of course, with the Inflation Reduction Act. There's going to be a lot more coming out, and I don't know if that will affect people in this real estate investors, but it could as well. There's a lot of the clean energies coming out, and information about that, vehicle credits, that kind of thing. To help you perhaps in your business. So that's a lot of information that's coming out. But as far as filing season, there's more and more tools now that are helpful for filing season. The online account is one that I've seen that really seems to be great, because you don't have to wait around to try to reach someone. You can get an answer pretty quickly online. So that's a great tool.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Michael, we really appreciate it. Wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Happy Hanukkah. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. Michael, we thank you for the presentation today, and then the ongoing information that you keep providing. We appreciate it. We need it. And thank you again, and wish everybody a happy holidays here. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.